Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive into a platform that tackles one of the biggest, most nagging challenges in the entire data world: trust. I mean, how can you ever be truly sure that the data you're basing huge decisions on is actually reliable? So let's just start with a really simple but kind of profound question. Just imagine for a second. What if everyone in your organization, from the CEO down to the marketing intern, could look at your data and just trust it completely? What would that unlock? All right, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through 5 key ideas. We'll kick things off by really defining the problem. Then we'll look at a solution and what makes it so different. After that, we'll see how it can totally change the way teams work together. And we'll wrap up by charting a course toward that future of trusted data. Okay, first up, let's talk about the data confidence gap. This is that feeling in the pit of your stomach, that constant, nagging uncertainty so many of us have about the quality of our own data. You know, the real problem here isn't usually just a technical glitch or some missing values. It's a human problem. It's a communication breakdown. You've got the engineers who build and manage the data pipelines over here, and the business analysts who need that data to make critical decisions over there. And a lot of the time, they're speaking completely different languages. That creates confusion, and it totally erodes trust. So how in the world do you fix that? How do you bridge that gap? Well, let's take a look at a solution that's been designed to solve this exact problem, from start to finish. The whole idea here is to give you a single, managed service that handles all the complicated, behind-the-scenes infrastructure of data quality. This basically frees up your data teams to stop worrying about how to build and maintain some complex testing system and lets them focus on what really matters, what their data is actually supposed to look like. And it's not a free-for-all. The platform guides you through a really clear, structured process. You start by just exploring your data, getting a feel for it. Then you start building these clear rules. They're called expectations, and we're going to talk a lot more about them in a second. Once those are set, your data gets checked against them all the time, automatically. And finally, you can look back at the results over time to spot trends or problems. And this isn't about throwing out all your existing tools. Not at all. GX Cloud is designed to plug right into the data stack you're already using, whether that's Snowflake, Databricks, you name it. It works inside your pipeline to catch problems right at the source, exactly where they happen. Okay, let's get to the fun part. This is the core concept, the secret sauce that makes this whole system tick. It's a beautifully simple but incredibly powerful idea called an expectation. At its very heart, an expectation is just this. It's a statement about your data that can be proven either true or false. That's it. This simple concept is the fundamental building block for creating data trust. I know it sounds almost too simple, right? A verifiable assertion. But by framing data tests this way, as these simple, provable statements, the entire conversation about data quality just changes. It goes from being about complex code that only a few engineers can understand to a shared language that literally everyone in the organization can get on board with. And believe me, this approach is a massive shift from the old ways of doing things. Instead of tangled, complex code, you have plain, human-readable language. Instead of just basic checks like, does this column exist, you get these deep, semantic insights. For example, you're not just asking, is there a zip code column? You're asking, does this column contain valid 5-digit zip codes? It makes the test so much more meaningful and turns what used to be siloed code into this shared repository of knowledge for everyone. And these expectations are super comprehensive. We're talking about everything from the basics, like schema and data types, to much more nuanced ideas like freshness. Is our data actually recent? Or volume? Do we get the amount of data we expected today? It even covers things like cardinality, which, is just a fancy way of asking if the number of unique values in a column, like, say, product categories, looks right. So what happens when you make data quality understandable for everybody? Well, it stops being just an engineering problem. It becomes a shared goal for the entire organization. This chart right here really says it all. Traditionally, the technical teams have a super high understanding of data quality tests because, well, they're the ones writing them in code. But for the business folks, the people who actually rely on that data every single day, that understanding has been incredibly low. They've been left in the dark. But this is the solution in action. A clean interface that uses that plain language framework of expectations just completely empowers the non-technical people. A marketing manager can now look at a data quality report and say, hey, wait a minute, why are we suddenly seeing thousands of new customer signups from a country where we don't even do business? They can provide that critical business context that was missing before and maybe prevent the company from wasting a ton of money on a marketing campaign built on bad data. All right, let's bring this all home. Let's look at the ultimate destination of this whole journey, moving from a place of constant data doubt to a state of real, durable data confidence. Here is the biggest takeaway I want you to have today. When you build out a whole suite of these expectations, you're doing so much more than just creating a bunch of tests. You are collaboratively documenting every single important assumption and rule about your data. You're creating a living, breathing record of your organization's collective knowledge. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Think for a second about the most critical data set in your organization. What are the unwritten rules? What are the, oh, everyone just knows assumptions that it's supposed to follow? And more importantly, what's the cost when one of those assumptions is silently broken? Making those rules explicit? Well, that's the very first step toward true data confidence.